Justin Trudeau is campaigning, right? He's campaigning because Mr. Poilievre has outfoxed him, and Mr. Poilievre is driving the bus, and Mr. Trudeau is trying to take over driving the bus. And what he's trying to propose is trying to get back young voters. How is he trying to get back young voters? He's offering them billion-dollar loans, young, like 25-year-old voters who are maybe raising a young family. So he wants to give $1 billion to the childcare idea, but all in loans. What? You give Ukraine free money, you give Hamas free money, you give all sorts of other people free money, but Canadians you give loans? Give me a break. Give me a break. No, thank you very much. And I think it's going to be rejected, but we'll see. Canada's Bar Association is celebrating Trans Day of Awareness. Trans Day of Awareness, or Trans Day of Visibility, or whatever the heck they're calling it, is Easter Sunday. Do you understand the symbology behind this, the messaging behind this? You just put somebody, in a cave or something, and 3 days later they come out as a different gender, right? Trans Day of Visibility. Yikes. It is scary. So the Canadian Bar Association is celebrating that. I'll show you that. That's scary too. State of emergency has been declared in Niagara Falls due to the eclipse. Right. And St. Catharines too. Weird, right? It's weird. And I'll show that to you. And polar ice caps are melting. And it's impacting time itself. No, I haven't gone crazy. I'm just reading the CTV News headline from yesterday. Ha! Lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, CTV News is crazy, and they say polar ice is melting and changing Earth's rotation. It's messing with time itself. Wow. I mean, right? Like, Thanks, CTV News, for that. Moving on. Holly Doan, this is kind of related, okay? The people who have paid CTV News to lose their damn minds would like us to trust them again. Holly Doan says, Cabinet needs a new strategy to restore public trust in Government of Canada, says Access to Information memo. There's growing evidence that there's been an erosion of trust in democratic institutions, as well as the news and everything else that we're supposed to trust. Because you people are clearly working against us, and you're clearly not telling the truth. Oh yeah, the Earth's rotation, time itself, eh? Sure. Also, hunker down in a state of emergency because of the eclipse. So, Soldier Mama says, state of emergency issued for Niagara Falls due to the eclipse on the 8th of April. They don't even know what the weather will be like yet. That's crazy, right? News release, all of Niagara preparing to host thousands of visitors to view total solar eclipse. So this is the Niagara Region News. I don't know what this website is, but the bottom here has got media contact Daryl. It's got his phone number, and it's got a niagararegion.ca email address. I'm inclined to believe this. The footer on the website also says Niagara Region. It's got branding with Niagara Region all over it, official phone numbers, addresses. It looks as legitimate as it can look, but always take it with a grain of salt. It is the internet, okay? I would love to be wrong about this, but I just saw another report this morning saying St. Catharines has done the same thing. All of Niagara, of course, this is being announced yesterday, news release. All of Niagara preparing to host thousands of visitors to view total eclipse. On April 8th, all of Niagara will be one of the best places in Canada to view the solar eclipse, and thousands of visitors are expected to come to our region to see it. In order to make sure Niagara is prepared to accommodate this once-in-a-lifetime event, and out of an abundance of caution, it's for your safety, comrade. Regional Chair Jim Bradley proactively declared a state of emergency for Niagara Region under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, EMCPA, effective March 28th. So currently, if you live in the Niagara Region, you're under a state of emergency. You're welcome. No lockdowns yet, but pay attention. Watch your local thing. It's like remember Fox News used to run the emergency beacon alert? And I always used to wonder, like, what's the beacon? If you turned on the TV and it's going, boo, you're going to turn off the TV. I thought this is a bad beacon. I don't understand what's the purpose of this beacon. Anyway, residents and visitors to Niagara are welcome to safely enjoy the eclipse on April 8th, and Niagara's local governments, emergency responders, schools, and other organizations have been working together with the province and other key partners to make that possible. The Niagara region gets thousands of visitors anyway. Like, they have winter festivals. They don't declare states of emergencies for that. What is with this eclipse? What is happening with the eclipse? There's a lot of people speculating that there's going to be some kind of false flag. Somebody was speculating, and I saw it yesterday, that they're going to open the Large Hadron Collider and try to bring forth demons or something to that effect. I know, Good Friday, right? Jeepers Creepers. But this is what I've heard. This is the hubbub on the internet. So I don't know what's actually going on with April 8th. I don't necessarily think demons, but the LHC, they've been talking about rolling that up again, right? The Large Hadron Collider. And what happened last time? We got the Mandela effect, right? So interesting stuff. Anyway, back to this. Declaring a state of emergency under the EMCPA strengthens the tools that the region has at its disposal to safeguard the health and safety of residents, comrade, and visitors and protect our critical infrastructure in any scenario that might arise. Visit the website for more tips. And then it offers other things. It says, make sure you wear your approved glasses to view the eclipse. Be prepared for crowds and long lines. Consider filling up your gas tank, getting groceries, and running errands before the eclipse. Okay. Follow local directives and road signage as you travel on April 8th. While traveling on highways, don't stop, take pictures, or get out of your car to view the eclipse. That's kind of common sense, don't you think? Don't get out of the car on the highway. Although, I will tell you, I have been on a car that has reversed on the 401 because we missed the exit. And everybody told her not to do it. Most Niagara, it's terribly dangerous, don't do it. Most Niagara schools will be closed on April 8th, have a childcare plan in place, and make sure children know how to view the eclipse safely. I don't understand what's going on with the eclipse. So something crazy is going on with the eclipse. That's just the weird news. Now we'll get into the real news. Here's news. The real reaction shots of me reading what's going on in batshit crazy Canada land lately. Mark says, can the Liberal Party MPs act any more idiotic? So yesterday, Danielle Smith and Bill Higgs, Blaine Higgs, the Premier of New Brunswick, were testifying. And I don't have video of Danielle Smith, but I've got this. And Higgs I've got a video of. They were talking about the carbon tax and the impact on the carbon tax. The carbon tax is going to be instituted, and it might trigger an early election when it is. So that might be good news. The accelerant in me wants... I mean, this is happening. They really want to do this, and nobody likes it. So let's get them to do it and move on, because once enough people are mad, then maybe we get change. Maybe, right? Anyway, Danielle Smith and this Liberal MP had a go round, and this guy is trying to imply that because Danielle Smith doesn't refund the gas tax, that the provincial gas tax is bad and the federal gas tax is good. Anyway, here it is. Today, MP Yasser Navik tried belittling and cornering Danielle Smith about the provincial gasoline tax. It's a tax like all provinces have to raise revenues. Mr. Knack asked if Smith was giving rebates. His big gotcha question, what a buffoon. The tax collected like all provincial provinces taxes goes into roads, infrastructure, health services, etc., suspended to help during the pandemic. If these backbenchers bothered to learn about Alberta before insulting, it would go a long way. And the whole, it doesn't matter Alberta or New Brunswick. It doesn't matter where the people are. They're against the ideology, and so these MPs have to attack. We'll just play. This is only a minute. Chris says, this is ridiculous. Liberals will try and silence anyone they disagree with. Premier Higgs is representing New Brunswick and their New Brunswickers and their concerns with the carbon tax hike, but Liberal MPs talk over him. Justin Trudeau, you can't silence everyone who disagrees with you. He's trying. He's desperately trying. He really, really would like to. And because that's the only way he retains power. If he maintains this facade of 100% support and he believes that he has 100% support, then he goes forward with his agenda and ignores anybody who, not just ignores, silences, represses anybody who has any other ideas. And that's bad, right? Here's Blaine Higgs being talked over. Here we go.
So my plea here is across party lines to say, let's think bigger. Let's look at Canada as a solution to world environmental impact and changes in
Point of order, Chair.
as opposed to us being exactly focused on our internal affordability and the costs every day of living.
I
in our
apologize,
province.
Premier Higgs. I just have a point of order. Mr. Long, please make it
thank
brief.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just, again, Chair, I'm confused on relevance.
This is an opening statement, Mr. Long. Please show respect for the Premier. You may have disagreements with us, but please show respect for the Premier of your province.
Sure, Chair. I
It's an opening statement. Let him finish this.
But again, I'm just wondering the relevance, and I'm also wondering, Chair, if you can explain again which of the votable items referred to in the committee contains the Canada carbon rebate. I'm confused. You able to let us know that, Chair?
Explained that yesterday, Mr. Long. Mr. Premier Higgs.
See, this is dirty tricks and feigning ignorance, feigning stupidity. I mean, maybe actually just being stupid. All of those things are used as dirty tricks to trip people up and to derail their point. Okay, so they don't get a nice long clip to play to their constituents. It's a censorship of a different order. Here's the food professor. He says, carbon tax alert, Ontario Minister of Agriculture and 25 farmer groups asking for a pause on the carbon tax hike. Carbon tax is set to increase 23% on April 1st. Why continue asking? At what point is it just, we're not doing that? You can say it's law and you can try and prosecute us, but no, we're not going to do that because this was going to destroy us. I don't know at what point, right? Lisa Thompson says, Ontario is standing with farmers and food processors against carbon tax. Together, Ontario's agriculture and food industry is calling on the federal Liberal government to pause the 23% carbon tax hike as a first step towards eliminating this tax. So we need to eliminate the tax. We need to eliminate it now, and we need to eliminate it completely. And I think we should probably go further and eliminate all taxes and maybe even eliminate usury. I think that there's probably an argument to be made for road taxes, but maybe user pay. So some form of gas tax would probably be okay. But again, we'd have to negotiate. But I think that income tax should be gone. The government of the country should be working directly for the country and not for globalist interests. And the purpose of the government should just be to make sure roads are functional for businesses to run. The police force is enforcing the laws of the country. If they start trying to bring the military against its own citizens, which I think they did during the Freedom Convoy, if they start trying to do that kind of stuff, there should be clauses that remove their power completely and like a safety government put in place to remove the criminals. Like we should have protections of our democracy against these kind of people. And 2/3, we were chatting about it yesterday in Canada Polychat, talking about needing a 2/3 plebiscite majority to remove people who are acting like this, who are using the government as a weapon against their citizens. We should have those kind of protections. The argument is basically like those things would be used against the ability of a government, an unpopular government, to do necessary things. But these things that they're doing are not necessary. Like they're trying to create a problem, climate change, and elicit a reaction. Oh my gosh, there's no snow. We have to do something about climate change. And then they say, oh, don't worry, we're going to spray the skies and block out the sun. So problem, reaction, solution. They created the problem in the first place. If they weren't a part of the equation, the Earth would go back to doing what it always has done, right? And so I think that there's a lot of money being spent to convince us that climate change is a problem that we need to react to in a panicky way so that they can get away with their solution that they've already decided on. And part of the solution is carbon tax, central bank digital currency, social credit scores, and the rest to make sure that we don't put out too much air. They want to tax our air. They want to tax everything. Okay. And 3 years ago, I don't think I could see the shape of this, and I can see the shape of this now. And it's scary. It's a crazy, crazy plan. And it looks like they're getting there by inches, like just very little movements, very, very little movements, almost imperceptible. And people get upset, but they adjust to it and they forget. And then they get moved a little more, right? It's diabolical. Food professor says 165 economists who support the carbon tax and assert that the Bank of Canada believes the tax itself is not affecting the cost of living, failed to acknowledge that the Bank of Canada's calculations were profoundly incorrect. Here's Brian Lilly on this just a little bit. We talked about this yesterday, but this is a Toronto Sun article saying economists' support for federal carbon tax seems like a lot of hot air. And so I highlighted that actually the article or the letter that they wrote didn't prove anything. It just put forward liberal talking points. Brian Lilly argues basically the same, but he goes a little bit deeper into the details of exactly what Tiff Macklem said and exactly how inflationary the tax really is. The letter claims that the carbon tax is not affecting inflation and then cites government talking points about rebates and a thoroughly debunked claim from the Bank of Canada as proof. According to the Bank of Canada, carbon pricing has caused less than 1/20th of Canada's inflation in the past 2 years, the letter says. This claim was made by the bank governor Tiff Macklem last fall and was widely reported, but never fact-checked by the media, of course. Instead asking the bank how it got to that figure, fell to academics Sylvain Charlebois, and he's known as the food professor. Charlebois, the senior director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University, who is also known as the food professor, asked the bank to explain how it arrived at that claim. Given Charlebois' interest in food prices and food inflation, the answer was shocking. The Bank of Canada admitted that it only looked at the impact of gasoline, heating oil, and natural gas when applied directly to the consumer to arrive at its claim that the carbon tax is responsible for less than 1/20th of Canada's inflation. That's not only a very narrow view of how to measure the impact of the carbon tax, but it also fails to take into account the pass-through impact of the tax on consumers. A cucumber grown in one of southwestern Ontario's many greenhouses would have to pay the carbon tax on CO2 used to grow the cucumber. The trucking company that picked the cucumber would have to pay the carbon tax on the fuel used to transport the cucumber. The warehouse that stores the cucumber and the store that sells it will both pay the carbon tax on keeping that cucumber cool or at room temperature. You will only pay the carbon tax on gas it takes you for you to drive to the store, and that's all the Bank of Canada uses to assess the impact on inflation, not all the other steps that increase the price. It's a lazy method for the Bank of Canada, and it's lazier still for those economists to use that as their measure when claiming to refute myths about the carbon tax. So, yeah, right? That's not the best way to measure these things, and they're using that to mislead Canadians, right? They're using that poor math, whether done purposeful or not, and I suspect purposely done to mislead. They're using that purposely done to mislead math to mislead in communications, right? And so here's the other aspect. So this is only talking about the difference between, so they being the government, assess me, Mark, personally for my carbon tax use just on use of my car and things that I pay the carbon tax directly, home heating, things like that. But they don't do any assessment on how that carbon tax impacts the price of goods I buy, and I don't get a rebate on that. And they also add GST or HST to the carbon tax, and that doesn't get calculated, and I don't get a rebate for that. And Frank Grimes is making that point. He says the government also made $486 million in GST on the carbon tax in 2023. That's a lot of millions of dollars. That is not part of the money they give back. This money they keep for themselves. Politicians and corporations are doing great. They're killing it, while hardworking Canadians are at their breaking point. Yep. And well, just to give you a really interesting juxtaposition, on April 1st, Canadian MPs will earn the second highest salary for elected officials. I think, me personally, if I had my druthers, elected officials' salaries, the amount of money somebody in the House of Commons makes would be tied to the average salary of Canadians. So if an average salary in Canada is $51,000 or $54,000, then that's what they make. Why? Because they should understand what it's like to live on the average salary. And if you want to make the country better, the average salary will increase, and your remuneration is tied to the average salary. You want higher level pay? Go work in the private sector. You're trying to make the country great again. Holy smokeronies, right? Like we should not be paying for these people. Oh, Frank Grimes had this there. I didn't realize he had already linked to it. So yeah, they're stealing money through taxes to pay themselves 4 times what regular average Canadians get paid. That's crazy. And people can't afford anything these days. Here's Jagmeet Singh, but he's, of course, supporting this. Jagmeet Singh says grocery workers can't even afford to shop in their stores they work in. Polyev and Trudeau refuse to stand up to grocery CEOs making record profits while Canadians struggle. I'm fighting for your family's needs, not grocery greed. It's a minute and a half. I'm not going to play this because it's ridiculous, but I just wanted to juxtapose that to the amount of money that the carbon tax adds to everything is not really calculated well. And Jagmeet Singh is saying, everything's really expensive because the grocery store CEOs are greedy. That's not true. Jagmeet Singh is misleading you. And I don't think there's any math that he's setting. He's just blaming somebody who's not to blame for a problem that he is actually responsible for, right? Crazy town. Welcome to Canada, everybody. Holy smokeronies. The food professor says, remember when I mentioned that environment and climate change Canada was behind the letter sent by 165 economists? Quite convenient for Minister Guilbeault. Still waiting for that apology for misquoting me in the House, Mr. Guilbeault. And Dan McTeague says, hey, Stephen Guilbeault, care to apologize while admitting you're paying through public money for corrupted economists to write or to support your nonsense that carbon taxes and all your destructive net zero policies aren't inflationary or detrimental to the means for all to make ends meet. And we're not going to hear them admit that they've screwed anything up. We're going to hear rhetoric that their plan's working and the Conservatives just want to take us away from their plan that's working. But the plan is bunk. Climate change is a lie, and their plan is making us broke. It's bankrupting the country. And we can't continue to do that. It would be like knowing that your mom has an addiction to Amazon shopping, and she's maxed out all of the credit cards and your brothers and sisters' credit cards and your dad's credit cards too. And she's managed to get her hands on the neighbor's credit cards. No, she's managed to convince a bank to give her more collateral on her credit cards, and she's just calling it Canada. Canada's got lots of money. She says, that's fine, it's fine. And she's going to max this one out too, just on junk on Amazon. And she's a hoarder, right? And so we're getting all sorts of bad policies. She's putting it in tent cities in the backyard. What? How is this acceptable? We have to be able to take away the credit card from these people. We have to be able to shut them down. They're bankrupting the freaking country. They've already done it. They're just digging a bigger hole. Like, how do we stop this? Wall Street Silver. Let's talk about money. Yikes. Wall Street Silver says things in Canada are not good. Rent CPI has skyrocketed to levels not seen since 1983. I don't remember 1983, but I remember that I was alive in 1983. That was the year my brother was born. The CPI for rent in February spiked by 10%, annualized from January. The 6-month annualized rent CPI, which irons out the large month-to-month variability, spiked by 10.3%, the worst since 1983. The rent CPI is a measure of what tenants actually pay in rents, not a measure of asking rents, and includes rents paid by tenants in rent-controlled markets. Justin Trudeau has ruined Canada. So credit Wolf Street. So Canada rent CPI 6-month annualized, mapped out from 1983, last quarter of 1983 to 2024, first quarter 24. So that's crazy. That's not good. We've done a bad job at managing our finances overall. And we're spending far too much money on foreign wars and foreign people, either in foreign countries or foreign people in Canada, and not nearly enough on building our country to maintain its even standard that we were at in 2015. And Justin Trudeau and his band of crackpots will lie to you over and over and say things are getting better, things are getting cheaper, everybody's happy, everybody likes what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. It's crazy because they're just gaslighting you. It's incredible. Here's the economic long wave, and he says in bold, I've lived most of my life in Toronto. I've never witnessed such an abundance of beggars, nor so many young individuals departing the city and province. The soaring cost of housing and rental properties are compelling industrious, ambitious youths to seek opportunities elsewhere. Yeah. Like at this point in time, the options to leave Canada are looking better and better. And other people are starting to see it. Like people who previously would have been very resistant to the idea are softening to that idea. But where to go, right? Because I really do feel like this is coming everywhere. And if you don't fight here, well, will you fight harder in a different country? I don't know. Or is it better to go and wait the 10, 15 years before in that other country and hope things collapse before then, right? Like maybe. Here's another person, Wall Street Silver says, well, she's talking about cost of living in Canada, etc. I don't know why they have to put the music behind it, but here we go.
I don't want to pay my taxes anymore because I know where the money's going. I don't want to go to the grocery store, spend $400.
I don't want to pay taxes because I don't know where the money's going. I know that it's going out of Canada. I know that it's not going to help Canadians, but I don't know where the money's going. I can't audit it. We can't look at it, right? How much are we borrowing and how much are we actually using of our own money? This is insane, right? And also, if there's no consequence to printing money, why are we paying taxes at all?
On 2 bags of organic produce that's probably injected with a now and sprayed full of glyphosate still, even though it got the organic label on it. Tired of battling everything. I did think about moving to another country, but I know the government corruption is everywhere. I mean, it would be nice to live in a place where I could just eat food and know it's not being poisoned, but it's just so exhausting. It's gotten to a point where I'm just mentally so tired. And I talk to a lot of people at work and everybody says the exact same thing. Like, we're on autopilot. Like, everybody's just doing the minimum that we need to do. And then just either going home and escaping or just numbing ourselves or just going to sleep or just whatever. And it's so sad. This isn't, I don't want to pay my taxes anymore because
this isn't the country We were promised. This isn't the result we were promised. And for these terrible results for bankrupting the country, our MPs are the highest paid in the world, or the second highest paid in the world for elected officials. I think we should change that. It should be tied to average salary, right? Average salary. And if you can't make it work, well, then you're in government and you should better change something, right? Good and quick. And also, they shouldn't have chauffeurs and drivers. Like, I don't have a chauffeur and driver. Like, these people are not kings and queens. They're servants. They work for us. CTV News says, breaking. Trudeau promises $1 billion in loans for childcare providers to expand care centers. This $10 a day daycare thing doesn't work. This is from February 24th, like a month ago, okay? Just after Valentine's Day, Ottawa daycare operators say $10 a day program not working. Warning of closures. Oh no, you're going to close? Okay, so we're just going to give you another $1 billion in loans. They did this during COVID. Why is our government engaging in predatory lending? If you're running into a problem, oh no, I can't run my business anymore, then maybe your product isn't very good, right? Like, that's probably it. Your product is not very good. And if your product's not very good and people don't buy it, then getting bailed out or getting a loan is not going to help you. It's going to indebt you further, right? Like, that's not great. Ukraine gets free money and Kenya gets free money. We spent money to advertise in Kenya not to poop on the beaches. Free money. Here you go, Kenya. Right? Cash money for you. Why? Why do they get money? We sent $100 million to Haiti. And now the president of Haiti or the prime minister of Haiti is hiding out in Kenya, funny enough, and because the Haitians rose up against him and they don't want him coming back with Haitian kill squads. So, like, it seems really strange to send all of this money with no real strings attached and no expectation of repayment, Zelensky. And Canadians, you and me, we get loans, low interest loans. You can take your low interest loan, Justin. I'll tell you where you can put it, but I don't get vulgar on this show, or I try not to. So here's the Liberal Party. Unfortunate but true, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives would cut $10 a day childcare. That's because it doesn't work. It's not working. The program's a disaster. It doesn't work. It's a failure, and you're a failure. Jero says Prime Minister Trudeau announces childcare measures as part of the upcoming federal budget, including $1 billion in low-cost loans for providers to expand and renovate their spaces, student loan forgiveness for rural and remote early childhood educators. Right. That's not going to fly, I don't think. The $10 a day program doesn't work. And so that's electioneering. That's Justin Trudeau trying to campaign on the public dime. Right? He's trying to use this time to bring programs and spending to the attention of people who may vote for him or who have abandoned him because he's a loser communist. And he wants to win them back with money. He's just buying votes, right? That's where buying votes come from. Here's $1 billion in loans. Buying votes. Ugh. Here's Recall Gondek, and they're a fun Twitter account to follow. 83% of Sun readers want to recall Gondek. She is uniting Calgarians. So there you go. That's fun. And Eva Chipik says that's very telling. So, I mean, the Sun though, right? Like that's right-wing newspaper. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I'm not surprised that 73% of them want to, like, readers of the Sun. And I mean, I read the Sun. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. I'm just saying they're more on the right. I'm not surprised that 73% of the readership of the Sun wants to see Gondek recalled. But I honestly think that all of our systems and infrastructure with regards to elections and decision-making at municipal all the way up to federal have been perverted to the point of uselessness. Like, they don't work. I don't know that the recall is going to work. I think that they can fine-grain decide how many seats each party gets, and I think that they can put whoever they want in the mayor's seat, or if not put whoever they want in the mayor's seat, a council can get together and, like in Medicine Hat, stymie the mayor and basically remove them and replace them with an unelected official like the city manager. And that's been done, right? And so how does that work? And why isn't Doug Ford or Smith, anybody, weighing in on this? Medicine Hat's not in Ontario. So what's going on, right? So it is a very concerning thing. And I'm pretty sure that even if we were in a situation where where it looks like it's going to be a slam dunk recall, I don't know. There's probably going to be something coming out of, the last minute something happens and, it doesn't happen. But Gondek learned her lesson and now she's going to listen to Calgarians. Bull poop, in my opinion. I always joke about Christia Freeland in a red dress, and somebody said, how many red dresses does she own? These are all different red dresses. Some look better than others, but they all look ill-fitting for various different reasons. And I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just weird. Like, I don't think I'd like to think that I would wear a well-fitting suit. The whole point of clothes is to make you look your best, right? So it's weird. It's a weird thing. Remember when she wore the mama is not equal to chopped liver, and then she went off to negotiate the USMCA? It's just weird. It's a weird choice. I don't understand it. Let's talk about China very briefly. Federal securities agents in a censored 21 election memo said they were aware China sought to cultivate relationships with MPs. Oh, glad everybody was aware, right? Taking us years to figure this out. 2019, 21, that was a while ago, right? It's 2024, barreling into 2025. Right? I can't even believe this is Easter weekend. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's how fast it goes. National Post says CSIS alerted Elections Canada of a foreign interference allegation in Toronto's Don Valley riding. So apparently people know pretty well who and what and where, how much money, the rest. But it doesn't seem to matter because reasons, right? Because they're trying to destabilize our society. This is crazy. And I mean, sometimes I overuse, like I say, this is wild too much or this is crazy, but there are so many things that just defy any logic or reason. Like, I can't believe how nuts the news seems, and people seem really okay with it. People seem like, yeah, that's normal. It's not. Like, we didn't used to have beats this rapid. We didn't used to have big events happening multiple times a week. It didn't used to be like this. It didn't. And I mean, I played close attention and have paid close attention for a while. Things are picking up, but people don't care. People are blocking it out more, in fact, right? As things intensify, people pay less attention. And that's interesting to pay attention to as well. Canadian Bar Association, let's talk about this. March 31st, that's Easter Sunday, people, okay? March 31st is not Easter Sunday, according to the Canadian Bar Association. No. March 31st is International Transgender Day of Visibility. Join us on the occasion by reflecting upon the progress that has been made and the challenges that remain. Among the resolutions that we passed at the recent CBA annual general meeting were a call to combat transphobia and homophobia and a call to end harmful education policies. Read the full statement here. So they're going after Alberta. Here's Jamie, and she says, a very serious professional organization observed Identity Celebration Day. This is not their Easter post, right? So I don't know if they're trying to fly under the radar or what, but it's very concerning. Here's Jamie to go into the resolutions they passed. This just looks like the organization that has been captured by people who want to craft social policy. Instead of running for public office, they piggyback on the prestige of the profession to call for political change that has nothing to do with the practice of law. Here's one of their resolutions. Be it resolved that the Canadian Bar Association condemn the use of the notwithstanding clause to enforce the policies that force teachers to inform parents if a child wishes to be referred to by a different name or pronouns, and urge federal, provincial, and territorial governments to immediately repeal policies that deny appropriate protections, safety, and dignity for LGBT kids and youth, including policies that mandate disclosure of identities or exploration without the student's consent, or which fail to respect their proper names and pronouns, and adopt inclusive school policies that protect and promote the well-being and autonomy of LGBT kids and other blah individuals. Back to this. The position advocated for by the CBA that actually do relate to the profession are comically steeped in gender ideology. What's this about pronoun policies, mandatory trans competency, training for everyone, law societies should assess competencies on trans issues? So yeah, all courts and administrative tribunals should implement policies related to the use of pronouns, language, and titles, including those related to safety and confidentiality. The CBA wants dead naming, misgendering to count as professional misconduct, gender diverse people to be included in any employment equity legislation, federal and provincial governments to ensure income security and housing for trans people. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of wild stuff in there. Oh, see, other people are like, this is beyond, there's no other term to describe this. Crazy, wild, unbelievable. Much of it demands the profession conform to the tenets of gender ideology, and the rest is just asking for society-wide reforms that suit the interests of those who identify outside of their biological sex. Huh. It's weird, right? So if you think to yourself, I'm going to get a lawyer, the lawyer, if he wants to maintain his good standing with the Canadian bar, is going to be hamstrung in what he is able to do, or what he or she is able to do. So that's not very good. Like, you're going to have to become a lawyer yourself in order to defend yourself, because if the Canadian bar comes out and says that man can't be a woman, well, they're going to lose all of their support for these baby blue and baby pink, baby girl and baby boy flags, right? Huh. Isn't that weird, right? Why do you think that the trans flag is that color? Baby blue and baby pink. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.